Good morning, everybody. How we doing on this fine Friday? Welcome to the end of this week. So I went on a little walk earlier. My hair looking a little bit crazy. Maybe we'll keep that on. Anyways, welcome to the last pre-market prep of the week, everybody. I'm your host, Adam Holland, stock options expert market strategist. Want to make sure we're not lagging. A little bit laggy here this morning. Let me shut that down. I went to go switch windows and I accidentally started up Zoom. So now that I forced quit that, hopefully we're all good and we don't have to worry about any lag or any issues. But we're here to close out this week strong, right? See what the market has for us and, remain patient, execute, and also kind of move in accordance with game plans. I feel like one thing that is important to make sure that you keep track of during weeks like this, weeks that are based on survival, not necessarily going after it hard, right? But making sure that your account survives the week. A lot of things that people fall short on is management, right? When you are waiting on plays and you're super anxious, then you start to not really stay on top of the nuances of trading, which is what's most important during these weeks. So don't just get into trades, right? For everyone, make sure you're not just getting into trades this week and saying, okay, I'm expecting to cash out at this point or and I'm gonna wait and then this is gonna quadruple my money. No, make sure you set all those alerts, right? Your management alerts for if you need to get out, right? For loss, all of that. Very important because you can get this kind of like hunger where you're just, if you haven't hit anything in a bit, you're just like, I gotta be on this one and I'm only looking for the profit. And then you don't set all the alerts that are necessary. And that's another way that you can slip. So during survival weeks, right, you want to make sure that you are paying attention to the small things that could cause you even more hurt. Because unfortunately, the small things make all the big difference. You guys have heard me say that. But those are kind of the first things that are out of the window when people get frustrated, right? Are the small things. They're like, hey, I'm here and I want to make money, so I don't really care as much about setting these alerts, right? You don't ever want to operate from a standpoint of pain or frustration. That's why whenever you see me or you contact me, I'm really always speaking from an agnostic standpoint, right? You have to throw emotions out of the window because emotions are what get you caught up and they negate all of the logic that goes into the system that lets us win more often than we lose and win bigger than when we lose, right? So emotion, we got to check that out, check that at the door and make sure that we still stay on our P's and Q's, right? Even when we might be getting hungry, might be getting jittery. Speaking of hunger, got a nice feeding yesterday. AMD came through, Nvidia came through. Nvidia with the home run, not accessible for everybody. I get that, but that was a beautiful play. And then AMD coming through as well, broke that pre-market high. Paid over 100% for some people, paid over 40%, roughly 40% for others. But a great play there on AMD. And now we're going to see what the market has for us today. We're watching a few different sectors, but we mainly just want to see what's up with this news and any data that we got and then move from there. But making sure that you are maintaining that mindset. The market owes me nothing. I'm coming here. I'm looking forward to taking care of opportunities. And when I get them, I'm doing what's necessary in order to manage effectively. Don't just say, oh, thank God, right? Finally, a great opportunity. And then you get in it and then you're just like, oh, right? No, go in, set those alerts, right? Make sure you have your management stuff set, write down why you're in it, why you're getting out. And then that way you don't have that frustration snowball from things that you can control. We only want to be frustrated in the market by things that are out of our control, right? And you feel that for a second and then you're done. When you're frustrated by things that are within your control, that's when you're like, okay, this is something on my end that I got to tighten up, right? So let's stay tight, let's stay streamlined, and let's have a great day today in terms of markets. So top news high on AI. How do you make billions in a day? Asked Jensen Huang. The NVIDIA CEO saw his net wealth swell by $10 billion to $69.2 billion on Thursday after a dizzying post-earnings rally that turned the heads of nearly everyone on Wall Street. Investors were also celebrating in style as NVIDIA shares soared 16.4% during the session to a new record high of $785.38 per share. So that was like the earnings gap plus what we moved in during the session. And they even managed to breach the 800 level in pre-market trading this morning as the AI darling nears the 2 trillion valuation milestone. Again, FOMO, not something that I worry about when it comes to markets. If you were so busy FOMOing, at open about Nvidia, you missed the opportunity to probably make more in profit trading Nvidia with our post earnings strategy than you did from earnings, right? So if you were here from yesterday, you saw that exact prediction take place and you saw that miracle in motion. I came in here and I said, hey, not worried about this at all, right? Looking to take advantage of a post earnings opportunity if there is one. There was one. We took contracts from 470 to $1,100 per contract, right? So, with all this hype, with everything that's going on, the biggest thing is to try and maintain a baseline in markets, no matter what is going on. No matter if you're hitting everything through the roof, or you're stumbling and you're struggling and you've missed a few plays, and your confidence is down. You have to try and maintain that emotional baseline, because emotions will have you missing opportunities and fumbling the ones that you do get. Right. So that's why we want to put those out the door. And that came in quite handy yesterday as we were ready to execute quickly when it came to Nvidia, execute that post earning strategy and bring home a home run trade in 20 minutes, no less. Legendary stuff. Let's see here. In terms of the snapshot of this action, the latest rally resulted in the biggest single session increase for a US company in history, which I think was just set by like Meta in their earnings, with Nvidia adding $277 billion in market value. Putting it in perspective, the increase alone was larger than some of the biggest blue chip firms like Coca-Cola. The powerful advance also fueled the 14th record close for the S&P 500 in 2024, with Nvidia skyrocketing nearly 60% just this year alone, and it's February. It now accounts for more than a quarter of the benchmark's S&P's increase year to date. So more than a quarter of what the S&P has moved up has been accounted for by Nvidia, which is wild. It also helped put the stock on the radar of broad market investors and owners of index funds, not just Nvidia's direct shareholders. Now, why is it worth so much? Just like any revolution, the companies that stand to make the most money are the ones providing the tools to achieve the transformation, not necessarily the ones that do it. NVIDIA is providing the most advanced GPUs needed to power AI, generative AI platforms and large language models being developed by big tech, and holds an estimated 80% share of that market amid demand that has been off the charts. Remember that each of these chips is worth tens of thousands of dollars, and Silicon Valley cannot eat them up fast enough with plenty of cash to do so. In terms of seeking alpha commentary, quote, of course, there will come a time when NVIDIA's AI demand will slow down and growth will become lower than expected, leading to worsening profits and a lower stock price. Investing group leader Victor Durganov writes in NVIDIA Q4, it's good to be the king. However, that time is not here yet, and when it will arrive, only time will tell. Nonetheless, NVIDIA is priced for perfection and needs to continue delivering solid results to keep its share price moving higher. Yeah, at this point, I mean, they're setting the expectations so high that anything less than a smash spot on NVIDIA will likely cause some type of large retracement. But until that happens, nobody's worried about it, right? It's one of those things where what goes up must come down, but don't think that it has to come down on your time, because it most definitely doesn't. So for anybody out there waiting, like, oh, I want to wait for a pullback to get that NVIDIA stock, the pullback was missed, right? The pullback happened. Every pullback that happens now with NVIDIA might last for a few days, maybe a week and a half. And then after that, it's rocketing to new highs. So, pick your spot, get some. If we go down, get some more, and just play it that way. But trying to time this beast is just nothing that's going to really be successful at this point. In terms of space news, back on the moon, in the first commercial U.S., it's the first commercial U.S. company to build or pull off a lunar landing, in the first American spacecraft to reach the moon's surface since Apollo 17 in 1972. Intuitive Machines, their ticker's Lunar, LUNR. Their uncrewed spacecraft called Odysseus achieved the feat late Thursday, sending shares skyrocketing 37% in after-hours trading. Quote, on the eighth day of a 250,000-mile voyage, Intuitive Machines aced the landing of a lifetime, said NASA Administrator Bill Nelson, calling it a triumph for humanity. Investing group leader Delanth De Silva previously posed some questions surrounding the stock, flagging the need for more data to analyze how the mission success will translate into financial gains. That's true. That's really the big thing with these space companies, and why, Richard Branson kind of started Virgin Galactic and then made his exit from Virgin Galactic, and they've been sputtering since, is like, space is really hard. It takes a lot of money, and how are you going to make money off of it? Three big questions that have to be answered. But good for Lunar, right? And anybody that's watching the space sector, it's not me. But if you knew that this lunar potential landing was happening, right? You said, okay, I'm going to take the side that the landing is successful and that the ship does not blow up in the soundless void of space. You made money, and that's great. I don't even know if they're optionable. They might be, but I guess this is cool. I don't really get why we're still so hung up on like landing on the moon. I don't know. I feel like it got done in 1972. Like, let it stay there. In terms of IPOs, dive into anything set to be listed under the ticker symbol RDDT. Reddit has filed for an initial public offering on the New York Stock Exchange. The social media platform disclosed that it generated 804 million in revenue in 2023, up around 21% from a year ago, while its net losses narrowed to 90.8 million from 158.6 million in 2022. Content on Reddit, which had over 73 million daily active users as of December 31st, has become particularly important for training artificial intelligence models. I thought that was really interesting and also like kind of dangerous if you've ever been on Reddit. It's kind of like a wild place. Quote, we believe there is an emerging opportunity in data licensing, noted the company which just inked a content licensing deal with Google. There definitely is. I mean, I feel like the most just straight up like lengthy content from individual users goes on to Reddit and it's text. So it's very easy for AIs to comb through it. Reddit also projected its total addressable market globally from advertising, excluding China and Russia, to be $1.4 trillion in 2027. So Reddit, coming out onto the IPO scene, or I guess going public. Yeah, the IPO scene, they're going public. Do I recommend that you buy Reddit's IPO? If you guys have been with me for a while, you could probably anticipate my answer to that. Matter of fact, just throw it in the chat if you think that I would recommend buying Reddit's IPO, or frankly any IPO for that matter. I'd love to see how many people are aware of my automatic answer when it comes to IPOs. And then I'm gonna loop back around to it. Yeah, we already got Shannon on it. Sharp as always. Andrea, no, exactly. That's a no. Yeah. Never, ever, ever am I ever recommending you to buy an IPO? Why? Because IPO stands for it's probably overpriced. Anything that comes out, doesn't matter what company it is, as soon as it comes out, it is overvalued, right? Even Snowflake. Snowflake was publicly backed by Warren Buffett. And even then, you've had over a dozen instances where you can get Snowflake for less than the initial public offering price. So no, I don't care about their prospects, their AI, this, that, and the third. If it's coming out public for the first time, it's overpriced. Let's see here. Where are we at? I'm glad y'all are on it, right? Because this is exactly how you want to be thinking through it. Because the barbershop is going to be that guy. Hey, yo, Reddit's going public, and they with the AI now, and they're going to be the next big thing, right? It's going to be Nvidia, and then it's going to be Reddit. You're like, actually, statistically speaking, right? And you get to flex on some people and be like, nah, this is typically how it goes, right? And if you don't know, make sure you tune into the pre-market prep sessions, because that's where we're at. In terms of global news, fresh sanctions as the war in Ukraine enters a third year. That's crazy. It has not seemed like it's been 3 years for this, but I guess it has. Russia has been hit with fresh sanctions from the EU and UK, with the US expected to follow today. The more than 500 measures, which will target Moscow's military industrial complex and foreign companies helping provide other goods, also come in response to the recent death of opposition leader Alexei Navalny. In addition to imposing the new penalties, the U.S. warned of more sanctions on Iran for its support of Russia. Recall that the Biden administration's request for $60 billion in additional funding for Ukraine is yet to be cleared by the Republican-controlled House for Representatives. Yeah. I mean, this conflict that we said here when it first started would likely end up being a long-term ongoing conflict is shaped up to be exactly that. We're entering the third year of this war. Lots of lives lost, and one can only hope to an end soon. But as of right now, the fight continues to be fought. Money continues to be sent, and I don't know, an unstoppable force meets an immovable object. But it's not fun, the escalations and the way these things are going, right? Especially with the whole Russia announcing that they want nukes in space. I don't think anybody liked that. And of course, the idea that Vladimir Putin is more likely than not critically injured in some way. I mean, even in the interview with Tucker Carlson, he had to like stop his leg from moving. He's been suffering from involuntary movements that are very visible during his kind of public interviews over the course of the past year and a half, 2 years. So, as I said previously, but I haven't said recently, so I'll bring that back up. We're dealing with a cornered animal, right? That really has nothing to lose at this point. And that was one of the reasons why I thought that this conflict wouldn't be one that would go away so easily because, if he's completely fine and in great health, cool. The issue is if he has nothing to lose, he's not looking to back down anytime soon. And frankly, he doesn't care about the ramifications of this conflict globally or even just regionally, and for his own people in Russia. In terms of today's markets, mixed bag. A lot of flat here in the U.S. Japan closed, Hong Kong down 0.1%, China up 0.6, India flat. In Europe, midday, London flat, Paris up 0.6, Frankfurt up 0.1, the Dow up 0.1%, S&P flat, Nasdaq down 0.1, crude oil down 1.6%, gold up 0.1, Bitcoin down 0.7. Look at that, XOM was teasing that breakout, didn't get that close above, and now let's see, looks like we are probably lower here. So just great keeping an eye out, right? Those levels are super, super important, but make sure that you are setting the pre-market low and high every morning from my people, in the stock options made easy group. You're setting that pre-market low and high on all the stocks that we're watching, right? And using those in the way that you're taught how to use them. Um, and you'll always have some potential action for that day. It doesn't have to be contingent upon me or anyone else or waiting for something. You want to always control as much as you control, be on your P's and Q's. Takes less than 5 minutes, right? And then you've got some potential opportunities locked in there for the day. So make sure you're doing that, staying on top of it. What else is happening? We'll finish up here with our rapid fire stock news rundown. Doesn't look like let me make sure we're not getting any important like early morning data or readings. Thursday, nope. Friday, literally nothing scheduled. Nice. We don't have to worry about any of that throwing a wrench in what we have happening today. What else is happening? What happened as AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile outage hit US? If any of you guys experienced that, let me know in the chat. I didn't. I have Verizon, but like I did see yesterday that there was like outages. Wonder what that's about, especially because I just don't think it's a coincidence. Like I feel like there's certain freight headlines that are phrased a certain way. Like we experienced these outages at these major providers, and also we experienced a cyber attack on this major healthcare company yesterday. And it's just like, is this cyber warfare from like foreign countries? Like, is this China and Russia actively trying to attack our infrastructure? Or is this individual actors or a group? I don't know. It just makes you wonder, right? Because it's not the first time that this stuff has happened where it's like, oh, there's an outage, right? Or there's this or that that's occurred, right? This platform had to be shut down. It's ransomware. Um, Anyways, Fed's Cook wants more confidence in inflation path before rate cuts. Capital One, ticker COF, deal for Discover has hit $1.4 billion termination fee, or it has a $1.4 billion termination fee. Ugh, that sucks. So they're going to have to pay out 1.4 billion if the deal does through. Why the heck would you do that? I don't get why you would even try to have that go through nowadays. There's got to be some longer term ulterior motive here, for sure. There has to be, because this just makes no sense. None of these deals are going through. So why would you do it? It's like I don't even know. I just don't even know what to compare it to. But it's like none of these deals are going through. Why the heck would you spend money to try and get this done right now? You'd be better off waiting, right, for a year, lobbying hard for one presidential candidate to win over another, and then trying to make the deal happen then, than just throwing $1.4 billion down the toilet. Because we know under one guy, who I'm not under any means sponsoring, but I'm saying we know quantitatively that one lets a lot of stuff fly without regulation and the other one doesn't. Just wait, right? I just wait until next year this time and be like, hey, now we want to buy Discover, instead of trying to buy Discover, not being able to do it, knowing that you can't, and then paying them $1.4 billion. Or maybe they just plan to do that and they are fine with investing in Discover and to the tune of 1.4 billion. And they're like, hey, we want to help you out. So then next year when we come back and we acquire you, maybe you're in better standing. I don't know. But that would make a lot more sense. Goldman, obesity drugs to expand US GDP by 1% in incoming years. I wonder how that's the case. Is that because people will like be able to work more and do better at their jobs and not take as much sick leave? I feel like that has to be the variables that they're factoring in. Those have to be the variables they're factoring in because like I don't know directly how they're coming up with that. Um, Especially when it definitely doesn't help on the food front, right? I'm sure McDonald's and Walmart and Kellogg's and all of the places that serve us these foods that shorten our lifespan aren't going to have any positive bottom line impact from these obesity drugs. So it's got to be some other place that they're measuring that 1% expansion of our GDP. Block ticker SQ surges after strong annual earnings guidance. Booking Holdings ticker BKNG trades lower as Middle East conflict weighs. Carvana ticker CVNA shares rally as used car retailer nears profitability. And then Foundry push Taiwan Semiconductor to remain ahead of Intel. Then United Health UNH subsidiary Change Healthcare hit by cyber attack. Right, that's what I was talking about yesterday. Big cyber attack against United Health. Right, one of their subsidiaries, Change Healthcare, but Change Healthcare is a huge entity. So it's like a lot of people's data was accessed. FDA warns against the use of smartwatches to measure blood glucose. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just not that quality of a measure. Anyways, we're approaching the end of February. On a completely like random note, I had a bunch of friends whose AT&T went down though. Okay, Shannon said my T-Mobile was fine. I did with Verizon. Okay. Yeah. So a few people, right? And I mean, I'm glad that it didn't affect me because if you guys know me, I'm good at what I'm good at, and I'm not good at what I'm not good at. I am horrible with directions, right? Absolutely horrible. I'm thinking about 1,000 different things during the day, right? And not one of them is remembering where I'm going because technology does that for me. I know that's like, Adam, what if your phone fails? It rarely does, but yesterday on the ride home, that definitely would have been a funny instance if like my phone just stopped working and it's like, well, guess I'm just gonna pull over and take a nap, right? Because I have no idea what to do in terms of like directions. So that is definitely, if you want to find a way to stifle Adam, that's catch the work from home guy. And one of the few times he's not working from home and he's actually out, and then his phone stops working, and he's far away from home. That would be the ultimate nightmare scenario for me. So I'm glad that it wasn't too bad of an outage and there wasn't anything going on. And in terms of like to get back to this random unrelated note, March is coming up again. It's the anniversary of something we all remember happening in March. And there, has just been like a lot more talk about that sort of thing. I think that we all know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't even want to say the name because I don't want to get flagged or da da da, this, that, and the third. But just like be aware heading back into March and the anniversary of that thing that happened back in 2020, right? I just can't help shake the feeling that there might be something resurfacing in relation to that. It's kind of just how the narrative is going and how things have been pushed. So I say all that to say, let's just keep our eyes open heading into March, and just kind of just be aware, right? I just want to throw that on the radar. Like, let's just make sure again, it doesn't mean that definitively you do anything with your positions or anything like that. I have nothing for you to do, no action to be taken other than just like keep your head on a swivel and start to understand, the way that the world works and start to see things, patterns as they emerge. Once you see them in the market, you start to see them more in real life as well. Just let's just keep that in mind as we head into March. Not to be ominous, but that's what it's giving. It's giving anniversary type, you know. And I don't think it'll ever get to the point that it was in March of 2020, but March is just kind of it's giving those vibes right now. So head on a swivel for that. Don't want to be ominous or anything, but I also don't want to cut cards with anybody. If I'm feeling something, I'm going to let you guys know so that as a community, it's always striving to get better, right? We're making sure that we're on top of stuff. So we'll keep an eye on that as February ends. But other than that, guys, let's finish this week out strong. Let's have a great weekend, a safe weekend. Go love on your loved ones, hug your son, kiss your daughter, sleep in late with your significant other, take some time to meditate, read, journal, have a great weekend, and come back on Monday ready to rock and roll. We don't have a holiday next Monday, which I forgot about last week. So we will be back for a full week next week. I'm excited for that. So have a great weekend. Talk to y'all later. Peace.